Welcome to the MacGuffin Men. This episode is brought to you by Inception, because you needed something else to be scared of on a plane. And now, here are Alex and James.
Welcome to MacGuffin Men. I'm Alex. With me is James.
Hi, Alex.
Oh, hey, James. So we're talking about Inception today. The movie of summer 2010, I think we would say.
Are we? Or did you just plant that idea into my head?
That's good. Maybe we'll add a little sound effect there.
Okay.
Inception, good movie?
Check.
Okay. So when this movie came out in July 2010, it was a big cultural thing. Like it was number one at the box office for, I think, 3, maybe 4 weeks in a row.
The Leonardo DiCaprio Christopher Nolan thriller debuted at number 1 over the weekend.
Inception held on to the number 1 slot at the box office with over $43.5 million.
Inception won the box office for the 3rd straight weekend since its release,
Which is really impressive for a summer movie, just because of how cluttered the schedule is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a notably bad time. The movie that came out then a week after that was Salt, which very few people liked. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
Who is Salt?
Yeah, okay, great.
Somebody's setting me up!
And just, you know, and then it sort of led into August, and we were just sort of running out of blockbusters, basically.
Yeah.
This is my no-carb left-behind experiment.
And people seem to like it, despite the fact that I remember a lot of the conversation was about why do people like this movie that isn't a sequel or isn't, you know, a pre-established property.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like, it was risky for Warner Brothers, apparently, because it was an original idea.
Yeah.
And I remember getting really sad about that, the way people were talking about it before it came out.
Yeah.
And then really happy that people really embraced this movie, because it's very well liked among most people.
Well, yeah, and to me, it wasn't even that it was just on number 1 for 3 or 4 weeks, but it was so often talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, movies sometimes are number 1 for that long, but don't generate as much discussion as I feel this movie did.
Yeah.
And people had their own take on what happened. I mean, a lot of people talked about just how confusing it was. But
Yeah,
I think
but I think that's one of the most impressive things about this movie is that it's not very confusing. Like, I feel like if you're paying attention for all of it, I feel like it's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah.
Because they're always sort of explaining where you are. They're not, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt isn't turning to the camera and saying, we're in this level right now, you know?
Yeah.
But they're coming close, you know, like they're discussing it.
So what's impressive about that, though? Just that a movie...
Well, I guess it seems more complicated than it is with the levels, I think.
Okay.
I feel like it's always easy to keep track of where they are, at least to an extent. Or if it's not immediately clear, then soon they will explain it to you. For as complicated as it is, it gets its ideas across well. But I think, like you said, there was a lot of discussion about this movie when it came out. And I'm sure the majority of that discussion was about the ending.
Yes.
Because the movie has a very kind of great ending in that the idea is that, well, we all know the idea, we're not going to explain it. But the top, does it fall, does it not?
Right.
And then every audience I saw the movie with audibly, loudly groaned.
It's gonna fall. It's gonna fall. Guys, stop. It's gonna fall. It's gonna fall. This whole movie's a lie. It's gonna fall.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 What the fuck just happened?
My life is over. My life is over. This is a murder.
They were just so invested and they're just...
Yeah.
Because they really milk the shot of the top, too.
Yeah, and not groaning like, oh, I can't believe they did that, but
Just
you know,
like-
it's like the answer is right there, and then they just took it from us.
Yeah.
And you really do like that ending.
Oh, I love it. And I love the music cue with the note going up as it cuts to black. Like,
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And do you like it because it's ambiguous, or?
See, that's the thing. I don't think it's ambiguous. I think the way people talk about it is incorrect, I guess. And that's sort of what makes it seem ambiguous, is that people think it matters if the top falls or not. But the whole point of the movie isn't whether or not it's real. It's more find what you love and just do that.
Yeah.
It's like this really sentimental, really simple thing. And the idea is that it doesn't matter if it's real, it's just whether or not you're happy in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it walks away from the top. That's why it doesn't matter if the top falls or not, because Cobb will, probably see it again, just because it's in his house. But the idea of the movie is that Cobb's reaction will be, if it falls over, then so be it. If it doesn't, so be it.
Yeah, I think it's still an ambiguous ending, but irrelevant.
Yeah, irrelevantly ambiguous.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter to us, and it's clearly not a concern of Cobb's either.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this movie doesn't really try to hide the fact that Cobb is kind of Christopher Nolan. And very much of the press about this movie leading up to it was that it's Christopher Nolan's most personal film. It's his most emotional. And
it all really started from just an interest in dreams and the relationship with films and portrayal of dreams in films. And so I wanted to make a film where the experience of dreaming was addressed in that real way. So even as something extraordinary is happening, you're invested in the reality of that world. Because movies, I think, are one of the great ways in which you can open up a world for the audience and really take them someplace, take their minds someplace they might not otherwise go.
I don't totally agree with it being particularly emotional. I definitely agree with it being his most personal because obviously the character is pretty clearly him and the movie is pretty clearly about filmmaking, I think. Like if you break down that group, you've got the investor, which is Ken Watanabe's character, Sir Saito. You've got the guy that's in charge of the whole thing, Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio.
What's he?
The director.
The director, okay.
And you've got Tom Hardy's kind of the actor, I think, like he plays other people throughout the movie.
I'm sorry about that. You look a bit back here. Very amusing, Mr. Eames.
Ellen Page is the audience, because we have to explain things to her.
Right.
My question is, what happens when you start messing with the physics of it all?
She's the newcomer to the team, and so she's the character the audience can identify with as they explore the world. She has to ask all the questions that the audience wants to ask.
It's the most Fellini-esque blockbuster I think that's been made, but I think it's really interesting that way. And I mean, even little things throughout the movie, like the music towards the end of the movie, that sort of as they're getting off the airplane. The score for this movie was done by Hans Zimmer, and Christopher Nolan has said that Thin Red Line is a movie he really, really admires. He likes Terrence Malick's work.
Malick's influence on my work is very clear.
We together. One being, flow together like water.
You said you had a dream. And we grow old together. And we can.
The music cue towards the end of Inception is a barely modified version of a music cue in the Thin Red Line. And I think it's just sort of like Christopher Nolan getting more of his influences in, and it's just like, it's so clearly like he told Hans, okay, do this, but add a little guitar.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool, and I mean the action's incredible. I don't, it's not that hallway sequence, like, what? Yeah, it's just a great movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of people got caught up in kind of wanting to like it? Like, because it was such a kind of hip, trendy movie?
I don't think a lot of people did, because I think, like I said, it's pretty easy to like. And even if you don't think about the ending all that much, just as an action movie, it works.
Yeah.
Like the second half of the movie is an action scene. You know, it's like if you can get through the first hour of exposition, then it's just awesome thing. Oh my God, more awesome thing. You know, and you've made this comparison, and writers have as well, of it being very like a video game, even just calling the things levels.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, I don't think it's. You know, my mom, you know, said she didn't get it, but she still liked it. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but do you think everyone can sit through an hour of exposition to get even a really good payoff like that?
It's some cool ass exposition. I mean, I find going through the movie again, even the second time I saw it, the stuff with Ellen Page learning is a little boring.
Yeah.
But just it's still visually very arresting. Like that's when the city starts folding in on itself, and cops teaching her, and the cafe starts blowing up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's all this cool stuff like that.
Were you kind of okay with the CGI thing? Because Christopher Nolan tends to shy away from that.
I always prefer to try and shoot absolutely as much as possible for real. I think that anything that can be achieved in camera that clearly is a real person struggling with a real environment, I think the audience pays much more attention to that. I think they're much more involved with that.
I don't think the CGI in Inception's flawless, but and I think it's pretty clear that Christopher Nolan's best action ideas are always the ones that are done in camera, like the hallway, or in The Dark Knight when the truck flips. Come on.
He missed!
But the CGI isn't perfect, but you need CGI in that movie to make it work. So
yeah, because it's supposed to be so big and expansive and about different levels and infinity and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Do you think that ties into the movie making aspect again? You know, it's if you're going to call these people filmmakers, it's really just about your imagination and where you want to take it.
A good portion of the movie takes place in people's imaginations. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is kind of important for the filmmaking aspect. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So thank you for watching The MacGuffin Man. Be sure to check out our website, themacguffinman.com. We do a weekly audio podcast, and we also every Tuesday post an article or something to read, and so you can check that out. So thanks for watching, and check back later.
Thanks for watching The MacGuffin Men. Check out our website, themacguffinmen.com, for more podcasts, including this week's episode on Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.